Shut up and sit down.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Football is America with Ron and Kyle. And Mike.
What up? That was unnecessary.
I'm Ron. Kyle's in there. He's upset because Mike was loud. So,
Are you mad, Kyle? Are you mad that I'm loud? Punishment hole. No, it's all good. We're all having a good time. I'm having the best time.
How is everybody today?
It's a swear word. Bad, but I don't complain. I'm pretty good. Life's good. There's interesting things happening. Like we're at the point now where I turn on sports radio while at work and they're talking about basketball like without fear. Like we should all be aware of what's going on, and I have no idea what's going on. That's how I feel all the time. I'm on a sports show and I feel like that.
Hey, unplug your computer, Mike.
Yeah.
So Mike likes to give us technical difficulties by keeping his computer plugged in, so that it gives us lots and lots and lots and lots of background noise.
Yeah, well,
so.
you like to do a show at 1 a.m. on a Tuesday, technically Wednesday morning when I'm supposed to be in bed for work. So
sounds to me like you got a case of the Spostas, and Ron, this is derailed.
It's not derailed.
It's wild.
Not yet.
There are some gusty winds here, which is all right because at least one of the passengers farted. I suppose now that I'm thinking back about what I just said, that is me saying I farted, so that's dumb of me.
I liked it.
Ron, how are you?
I'm good. I had an interesting day today. Went to school, and one of the first things I do when I get there at 7:30 is I realize that I always have about 25 minutes, so I go do the thing that everybody should do when they first get to school, and I go to the bathroom. But today, for some reason, every stall was taken.
Uh-oh.
And it was an event in my life that I had to get past, and it was tough.
So apologies to the janitor who had to clean that urinal, or I mean, like what are we saying? What's happening?
He fashioned a wig out of a mop and went in the women's room. He figured it out.
So, did anybody hear about the whole Julian Edelman and college parties and Tinder and ugly girls and all this stuff?
Yes. Julian Edelman is enjoying being a Super Bowl champion and is going to all of the colleges around Boston and partying to the point where he can't feel feelings. Recently seen at Harvard. I think the day of the Super Bowl parade, a girl posted to her Tinder, which is a naughty hookup site, adults no, and pic of her with Edelman sleeping on a bed next to her, and I just effed Edelman, no lie. And in typical rational, reasonable Boston response, everybody would claim they were going to kill her and all that because she was too ugly to have slept with Edelman. No, that's the thing that gets me. It's like they don't care that she put him out there, but it's like, oh, you're too ugly to have done that. You can't claim like deflate the ball all you want. We don't care. Just don't be banging ugly chicks. It's fantastic.
I just figured that everybody in Boston would want to immediately find her and grab a spoon.
Yeah, I mean, it's just clearly DTF. What are we mad at her for?
One thing I want to talk about is a little bit of the NFL's headache that continues to be exacerbated by players that like to get themselves in trouble.
Like soon to be Julian Edelman if he keeps up with the partying. At least at the parties, he's still wearing pants, so I think he's doing pretty good. Who's in the news now, Ron? Who's in the news?
Defensive tackle LaTroy Guion. Now, I realize we're a little bit late on this one, but when you're arrested with basically a pound of weed and $190,000 in cash and a gun in a backpack, and then you try to bum rush the cops to get to said backpack, it's just hilarious to me.
I heard this story, and then I got reading every article I could about it, and it just kept getting funnier and funnier the more you start putting pieces together. That I guess he was like they cited him they pulled him over due to inability to maintain direction in a single lane. And then when they pulled him over, he was acting shifty, and then they smelled the weed, and then they started the search. Like, you got close to 200K, a pound of weed, and a gun you ain't supposed to have. Even though it's registered, it was registered in Minnesota.
It's not that much. That's only like 12 ounces. I mean, we're not.
That's more than you want to be rolling around driving like an idiot, like you can't maintain in one lane, though. Like, you think like, oh, like this is it's old people time. I'm driving the limit. Like I'm just hands at 10 and 2, baby.
It's almost bragging because nobody has 357 grams, which is about 12 and a half pounds. That means there's like those extra 3.5 ounces that's in his body. That's why he's driving that hard. And that's like an accomplishment for one person.
He was in free agent talks with the Packers too, which they've already been like, yeah, nah, we're good.
He's going to go to jail, right? I mean, you would think free agent talks would stop with anybody going to prison.
Well, not necessarily.
Yes.
I mean, we've seen. Look at Michael Vick, and we've seen plenty of players go to prison, and it had zero impact on their total overall career. So,
well, yeah, but now everybody is under the impression that Michael Vick is bad, whereas before he went to prison, it was just everybody who wasn't an Atlanta fan. So.
Yeah, I felt like that whole Michael Vick thing wasn't necessarily football people that were calling for him to be crucified. It was like people that just knew of the story and, oh, there's a famous person killing dogs, get him. You know,
the thing we really should have been mad about is all of a sudden, Michael Vick's doing this thing, and now we got to listen to representatives from PETA tell us what they think. That's the real.
No,
no,
we're not going to get into that because the last thing I want to do is really make PETA mad because they will come down with you with the hammers of Zeus.
What hammer? What hammer? They don't. What is it going to be made out of kale and spice? BS. It's ridiculous.
DeQuell Jackson. Kyle,
let him go. Let him go, Ron.
DeQuell Jackson is having a very confusing time in that he's getting all this anger from Patriots fans for being the guy to catch the ball in that AFC championship game that led the Colts to report deflated balls. So he's like the player responsible now, despite being on the opposite team and whatever. He's getting attention from that. Made his first Pro Bowl. Things are kind of at extremes for him. And then he gets arrested in one of the dumbest ways possible. It's kind of impressive. Assaulting a pizza delivery man over a parking space.
You screwed the pooch, DeQuell.
Now, to be fair, to be fair, there's not really a whole lot of fairness he's warranted here, but he lives in luxury condos and the guy parked in his space. Now, it gets a little murky. Would the guy move? Would he not? Blah, blah, whatever. But the guy's report is that DeQuell Jackson hit him even after he offered to move the car, choked him, threatened to kill him, and, of course, tried to bribe him before the police came saying, I can't go to jail. Or something like that. Yeah.
It's really funny to me because DeQuell Jackson isn't really known for defending really good spaces.
Sing!
That's strangely clever. Instantly suspicious.
Good for you.
But
well, that's unfortunate for the Colts, though.
The Colts are having a pretty big string of disappointments in the last few years. Bill Polian, when he was the GM, none of that stuff was put up with, and he ran an incredibly tight ship. He was kind of a jerk by most people's account, but you wouldn't be seeing this kind of thing. It's happening a little more under GM Ryan Grigson, but it's not time for Colts fans to panic just yet. The reason to be upset is more a lot of the people who are getting caught are veteran free agents who were brought in and then didn't play well. So it's one thing to, get caught doing something dumb, but could you at least be good so Ron can't make jokes?
Last thing you want is for me to make a joke, because if I'm making jokes, that means that you have done something horrible.
Royal.
Something screwed up.
I mean, you can't go and take all of a team's money and make the fan base hate you and then get arrested. Like, hey, you think you regret that decision? Watch this.
Over something so stupid too.
Yeah, it really completes the trifecta of being the guy that's going to get that's on his way out from the team. Though, I mean, if that's how you're going to handle it, I mean, hey, maybe he didn't want to be with the Colts anymore. And he was like, you know what? You want to know how I know I won't be playing for Indianapolis next year? I'm going to punch this pizza delivery guy in the face.
When I quit McDonald's, I just wrote a 2 weeks notice. Like, that's how I did it.
Well, here's the real trick, though, that nobody has the courage to report. Okay. This was all orchestrated by the Denver Broncos, obviously, because what happened? Oh, DeQuell Jackson maybe hit Peyton Manning just a little too hard in one of the games this year. Peyton, he remembers. He doesn't like that at all. So what does he do? He gets Papa's boys on him, but not to beat him. No, to take that beating. Is there any mention of which pizza delivery service it was? No, there was not. Why? Oh, Papa covers his tracks real well.
I tell you what, for all the reading I did on this case, because I've worked for a number of pizza places, no one was reporting what the pizza place was that the guy was working for. Like that would have given great literary context, like for me, like Papa John's.
Yeah, it's a massive cover up. Yeah, Papa John's in on it. He can't have that and Frito pizza within the same 6 months. There's just no way. They are not strong enough to survive that.
All right, Joseph Randall, though, he got himself in a little bit more trouble with. He was supposedly involved in a domestic violence incident on the 3rd of February. But what I found interesting about this was that several times that I read, they referenced that in October he was arrested for stealing underwear and cologne. I was like, what?
Good.
That was good job. Like, I don't know. Like, if that's how is that the reason you get arrested? I mean, if you're going to steal stuff, how is that the reason you're going to get yourself arrested? I mean, come on, man.
Well, I mean, how did a dude get arrested earlier in the year trying to pay for Doritos with bubble gum?
But that's funny. This is just weird.
All right. Well, maybe he didn't get to the Dorito thing yet. I don't know.
Well, apparently he got in an argument this last week with his child's mother. She claims he pulled a gun on her when she tried to leave with the child. And then she also claims that a friend took the gun and left. And that's why when the cops showed up, they couldn't find a weapon. And this just, like, I just don't understand how the season ends and, like, every player's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to wave guns, smoke pot, get arrested, and do whatever I can to punch a pizza man in the face.
Punch up the pizza guy. Gonna get my $200K and my pound of weed.
Maybe the pizza guy was delivering a Frito pizza to Will Jackson. He's just like, oh, the hell with this. Hobbs! Smash! Just destroy it. Because I'm pretty sure that we're going to see if the Patriots can get out of Deflategate, he can get out of this by going, Roger, seriously, the Frito pizza. And Roger will be like, oh, that PS? No, you're good, son. You get back to practice.
The Joseph Randall thing, though, like, I just don't, like, you realize that they're probably going to let DeMarco Murray walk. They're going to probably have to because they're not going to have the money to pay him and Des Bryant. And Joseph Randall's kind of that next guy up there, and he has played well in that role. And now there's a good chance he might not be there. Now, we know with Jerry Jones that we never know if that's the case, but I just find it very interesting that they're going to have to deal with that and very well could not even be there.
Jerry Jones, in a lot of ways, is like Grandpa when he's got Alzheimer's real bad. He has good days and he has bad days. And it just depends on how many cups of cough syrup you got him into. Oh, you're only on spoon number 4. You got angry, Jerry. Hey, you're on bottle 7. Don't worry, you're getting an extension.
So what about this Greg Hardy thing? Guys, have you guys read about this?
Crazy, yeah. Like, that's just something I've been following just in like regular news, and now it's all of it's dropped. Like, and I can't help but sit here and try to like draw conclusions about like comparing this situation going on with the whole Ray Rice thing and how that's been going. Like, do you guys feel like the way this turned out was affected at all by the Ray Rice situation?
Well, the way that I saw this playing out was that I was for sure that he was going to go to jail. Like, there was just no other way that this was going to happen. He was going to be released. He was going to go to jail. Like, that was it.
He was initially convicted by a judge in this case, a jury trial had the case dismissed. Now, we don't have a whole lot of details yet. We're under the assumption, I believe, that there's an out-of-court settlement, but
There's no assumption. There was an out-of-court settlement. That is fact.
well, okay, let me rephrase that, jackass. I didn't read enough because I didn't care, and I knew you would.
So why are you trying to talk lead on me when you didn't read the story?
Okay, I said potentially. Potentially. I said maybe. I didn't say yes or no. This is me covering my behind us when I don't know what I'm doing with it.
So here's what happened, and I'll turn it back over to you guys here. He was accused of violently sexually assaulting a woman. They came back, they charged him. He was convicted of this, and then sometime between the time that he appealed and it was sent to a jury, and now she has disappeared. There was a civil suit that was settled, and now she is nowhere to be found. And no one, in my eyes, there's no other way you could see this other than he paid her off, and now she is gone. Like, they cannot get a hold of her. She doesn't have the same phone numbers. They can't even track her by name, by credit card, nothing. She has completely gone off the grid.
Nuts.
I mean, how do you guys take that?
Well, she called the vacuum repair salesman at the end of Breaking Bad that made them all disappear.
I have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah,
you watch Breaking Bad.
Specific.
Are you serious? You guys only watch football, no TV shows?
Yeah, pretty much.
I watch cartoons, son. Okay, I'm all up in that Teen Titans Go because I have a 4-year-old, and so we watch Rad TV.
I'm gonna work a Frozen
not on my
joke
couch.
Anyway,
I'm not allowed to talk about Frozen. We're not allowed to talk.
We're not allowed to talk about Frozen here.
Legitimately, though, the NFL, I made a Frozen joke one time, and they were like, "No, you cannot make those allegations," because they were Kyle specials, and it was not.
We were told by the NFL to leave Disney alone and never go after them ever.
The NFL straight up does not want to build a snowman.
The NFL doesn't want to get sued because I'm an idiot. And given what I had said, which. But yeah, you can't talk about Disney. They will destroy you. Although I will say this, because I'm hard-headed, everybody is all up in arms now that Disney made a Hispanic princess. Not because, oh, how could you, but because of the two things. What, just now we have the first? And two, she looks too white. I'm sorry, you go to Disneyland, nothing but honkies. Honkies and gay dudes. Okay? That is where the revenue comes from. And I'm not saying that my daughter wouldn't identify with a Latin princess, except she way wouldn't because she's a little white kid with blonde hair.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I think that speaks definitely to the ignorance of the individuals proclaiming that she looks too white because do you really think that all like Hispanic people are running around like with the dark skin and the ponchos and the big twisty mustaches? Go down to like when you move away from the border, it really is a regional thing. Get down to like central Mexico and you get like gingers, Mexican gingers. Like, you know, comedian Louis C.K., the fat white guy with the red hair, he is 100% Mexican, as in heritage from Mexican. So like, I feel like most people can shut up and read a book. He's also hilarious.
What I hear you saying is that now there is an entire central part of Mexico without any souls whatsoever.
Moving along to the domestic abuse charges dismissed against Greg Hardy. One thing we do got to keep in mind is just because you were convicted in front of a judge doesn't mean you were guilty. I mean,
are you playing the other side here? Is that what you're doing?
I'm just bringing up a potential. A lot of times you get a plea deal just to make it go away. Sometimes when you did it, sometimes when you didn't. So it's hard to say one way or another. The way it sounds, maybe leaning towards yeah, but it's difficult to say. And he's going to end up getting back and doing whatever, and it'll all be fine. And then we'll have a slice of toast. I don't care.
All right, well, then let's go on to what is happening around the league. And by that, I mean, like, what the F is going on, especially with Peter King, who is a complete idiot.
And kind of a puppet at this point. There's not a lot of credibility left to him unless he's reporting something from the NFL. And a lot of times it's, well, the NFL's leaning this way, and then his Twitter gets a whole lot of hate, and then he reports back up the chain, hey, you guys shouldn't do that. People aren't digging it. That's his function now.
Yeah, he defended the Hall of Fame candidacy election for Darren Sharper, who is an accused and alleged serial rapist. Now, he has not been convicted of anything, but I mean, come on. I mean, there's just, when you see the stacking of allegations against him, it's getting worse and worse and worse.
For me, the bigger thing is when your former teammates, and keeping in mind that the tight-knit, even if you did something, I'm not going to say any word against you, kind of culture the NFL has. His teammates are going, yeah, there was something going on there. I didn't know what, but something looked wrong. That's pretty impressive to me. That's, they aren't making that up. Yeah, normally they'll be like, look, I didn't go out with that guy. I didn't hang out with him. I don't know. Ask him. No, players are saying, I would go out with him. He was not happy if he wasn't going home with a woman, and he didn't take no for an answer. I mean, He did eventually, but,
Yeah, well, now he's going to be the one saying no a lot as soon as he goes to prison. So
no, he isn't. He's gigantic. He's a former football player.
I'm implying. I'm implying.
I mean, like, what happens? You throw Shaq in prison. There's a new king of prison.
I don't want to get into the question of how many people do you think it would take to hold down. I mean, that's like there's strength in numbers. If you want something bad enough and you got enough chocolate milks to trade your prison buddies to cash in some favors for you, I bet you could be held down.
Doug Baldwin got fined $11,025 for pooping a football.
That's awesome.
That is an Adam Carolla move. I want everybody to be aware. If anybody else has read Adam Carolla's books, they are available on Amazon and possibly Audible. I don't know.
I'm looking right at my copy of Not Taco Bell material right now. He's kind of my radio idol. I've read all his books, but I'm not familiar. Fill me in on the whole poop in the football thing. How that's his move.
Okay. Well, Carolla did share in one of his thriller novels that he went to a Jimmy Kimmel football Sunday at Kimmel's house. A lot of people there having beer, having a good time. And the rumor is Tom Cruise is going to be here, and everybody's excited. Tom Cruise shows up at like 3:00, so games are practically done. And this is in Los Angeles, so fast forward to 7 for East Coast games and all that. Tom has like a 6-pack of beer and his mom with him, and Adam shows off his end zone dance, which is tuck the football behind you, crouch down and pretend to read a newspaper, dump that football. And apparently Tom Cruise and his mother saw this and then determined that they really needed to be anywhere else. And that is one of the many reasons why Adam Carolla is amazing.
Wow. I didn't know that was a Adam Carolla move. It makes it a little less significant, I guess, but still funny nonetheless.
Well, it's funny, but Doug Baldwin didn't give the care and loving that Adam Carolla did, which, Adam Carolla was a former football player. He very successful in high school, but the football scene in Southern California and the time, he was around was USC, UCLA, or no. So he didn't go further than that. So he knew what was important in the game: poop and touchdown dances.
Dude, I'm looking at the number right now: $11K plus $25 for pooping the football, like during the Super Bowl. I wouldn't be mad about getting fined for it. At least I did it. That's almost worth it.
Considering you had something like 50 million people watching, you're not like the penny to person ratio is very favorable.
What I don't understand is where that $25 came from. Why the $25?
As I understand that's the, I don't know why the 25, but that number is the absolute established minimum that someone could be fined. So maybe that's like, it was $11K, but like, oh, we need to add on 25 for like administrative processing fees or something like that.
The guy who was setting up the fine had to use his NFL purchase card for lunch because he left his wallet at home. And so he's like, you know what? I'm going to balance this out real fast.
But when you watch the video, I had to pull that up because it was hilarious. But when you watch it, they cut away from him right as he pantomimes pulling the pants and they get down to his knees. And I guess there was a good number of people that thought that he was about to moon the crowd.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what I thought was probably going to happen when I watched the video. I assume that's what kind of was the general idea, but to me, it was just hilarious. I don't know why everybody gets so messed up with all these and just gets so angry. I just find a lot of this stuff hilarious. And I mean, so other players also got fined for the Super Bowl fight that happened at the end, ranging between $5,000 and $10,000, depending on the fines and what it was they were getting fined for. To me, this is just another example we're setting for future football players, and the fact that the fines and suspensions do not fit the crimes, and to me, is 40% of the reason why the league is a laughing stock. So I have a hard time with how they divvy them up.
Well, and then compound the fighting and the low ball of the fines, and you get one of the guys getting fined acting like a clown, a lovable clown, but a clown nonetheless. In the Victory Day parade, by now everybody knows Rob Gronkowski wearing a children's hat and just chugging beer and just he's Gronkowski. What are you gonna do?
Dude, he wasn't just chugging beer. He chugged a beer. Then somebody threw him a bottle of Fireball, and he downed the whole bottle. Do you know what Fireball is?
That is very
concentrated awesome.
Chugged the whole bottle.
It is a very quick way to have a fantastic hangover.
High octane F yeah.
He was drinking it like the zombie apocalypse was happening tomorrow. And then he caught a bra thrown at him, pretended to wear it, then signed it and threw it back into the crowd, but not to the woman who threw him the bra.
That's hilarious. Like that's like someone's got that now. Like where'd you get that bra? Oh well, you know that Gronk guy. Like that's the best ever. Like I are people really mad about this story, or rather his behavior?
I'm not mad about his behavior. I just find it interesting that the NFL picks and chooses what they consider acceptable behavior. Because me,
that is a great juxtaposition. Yeah,
but like to me, like if they're going to be mad at Marshawn Lynch for wearing a hat that isn't authorized or was potentially not authorized, it has come out now that it was authorized, and they have decided that an NFL sponsor or official NFL personnel gave him the hat to wear. They had to have an investigation for that, but it's okay for Gronkowski to roll out onto a parade float and just drink like it's over. And it's just it.
The NFL would be able to say, well, that's a separate thing, that the city and it's a civic matter and we don't have any. Because, as you said, it's pick and choose, and you don't want to slap somebody who's celebrating. You don't want to say, hey, you're the world champion. Stop.
You also have to look at what is considered acceptable behavior in the public eye. Like, we have guys, you can't get a DUI, you can't get busted for drugs, you can't hit anybody, you can't get into a fight, you can't beat up a pizza guy, you can't do that kind of stuff, but then you can turn around and go out there and just get completely hammered on a parade float. I mean, that's still not showing that you are an example for kids and stuff like that. And I know it's not his job to be an example for kids. That's not what he's supposed to be there for. I mean, he's there to play football, and he can do whatever he wants with his career, but it doesn't cast NFL players in a very good eye nonetheless.
And especially in his case, on that team, there's Brady and then there's Gronk in terms of popularity. And at this point, Brady is more management than personnel. So Gronk is the young guy that all the kids are looking up to and relating to. And he's making bras more valuable. So, I mean, I don't... if I was a parent to a young boy and, we were Boston fans and I was letting him watch and, all that would be a confusing moment. Like, you got to look at your kid. Like, how excited are you right now looking at him do this? Are we going to have a talk? Because that is the worst thing ever, talking to your children, if you're a Boston fan. Because then you're from Boston. And so you got to try and have an unintelligible Irish conversation.
Because first off, you can't converse. Can't say your eyes.
It just ends up with a whole bunch of shouting and the cops are also family, so even more fighting.
See, like, I thought what LeGarrette Blount did was a little bit more clever, and the fact that he didn't say anything, he just wore a T-shirt that said "bitch mode," and I thought that was a big time douchebag thing to do, but
Yeah.
also hilarious at the same time.
I mean,
Well, he said that he does totes respect Marshawn Lynch and all that, and he doesn't mean anything by it, and blah blah whatever. But
dude, I think that was
Yeah.
like the biggest backpedal I've ever seen for someone doing like that. You know, like stick to your damn guns. Like how is that not disrespect? Like how's that not any like? Because his tweet said word for word. I guess when people were getting mad about it, he goes about the shirt. Just so people know, I have 100% respect for Money Lynch and how he plays the game. There's a reason he's called hashtag Beast Mode. Like that's the worst backpedal ever. Like if you actually felt that way, why would you bother to even consider having that shirt made and then running around during an effing parade?
Yeah, I mean,
well,
that's a good point.
Like that's
Well,
it's not that's a
for
funny
lack
thing
of
if
a soul,
like of a what?
demon possession,
Yeah, right. I mean,
demon possession.
if that was the case, and if you know he really felt like that joke was appropriate, then have the T-shirt made, and you know what, like wear it to a barbecue at his house, and then it's funny and you guys laugh about it. But like put it like at the parade where you just won the Super Bowl. Like, do you need to be a punk about it? You can't just win the Super Bowl. You got to rub the other guy's face in it. You know?
Well, think about what you know about Boston. No, you can't just beat a guy up.
Well,
I'm
that's
being really negative to Boston, but the thing is, movies and TV have told me that I'm right. So if I am wrong, well, TV says I'm right. So you need to go ahead and yell at TV first because they're lying.
I just think that I mean, you know, maybe I'm in the minority here, but I think that Gronk's behavior was like 90% acceptable. Maybe he could have toned down the drinking, you know, pounding a whole bottle of whiskey. But the fact is, I mean, if I had to talk to I don't, you know, have any kids, but I got a lot of nephews and nieces, and Uncle Mung, what they call me Uncle Mung. Uncle Mung goes up to that guy, and be like, yeah, he just won the Super Bowl. That's the happiest he'll ever be in his life. This is what he lives his life for. That's it. That's the biggest accomplishment that someone in his line of work can possibly do, and he's having a good time. Let him go. This other guy here, like Blunt, he can't just be stoked. I don't know. That's a little backwards to me. That's there.
Eh.
You know what's even more backwards?
Huh.
The Bills signing Richie Incognito.
That makes sense, though. It's Rex Ryan.
That was a little
Rex Ryan. He just, I mean, Richie Incognito, we all know of his bullying and whatever. And I personally, I'd be more worried about all the text messages he sent where he talks about, hey, cocaine and hookers, it's Tuesday. Like that's the kind of stuff to be a little more worried about.
Well, they said that they believe he has changed his ways and is rehabilitated. But does anybody who's like that ever actually change? No.
At most, I kind of think he could suppress it deep down or something like that. And I've said before on the show, it's hard to judge people who play for Miami independent of the city. You get the guy from Jacksonville tweets before going there for the weekend. I live in Florida 2-3 years, never been. Let's see what happens. 3 days later, he's out of his mind trying to buy Doritos with bubble gum, and it's still like the best story of the year to me. But it tells you Miami maybe lets you get a little too crazy. So put him out in the remoteness of Buffalo, blue-collar town. He's probably going to have to tone it down. There's probably not going to be an option not to.
Voted dirtiest player 3 years in a row by his peers.
I feel like once you get to his level of professionalism in the game, you don't just one day go, oh, I'm gonna be good now. You know, like oh, it is rehabilitated. I don't think so. I don't think that that's something that you just stop doing. You know,
It's a good fit for Rex Ryan. And that's the kind of guy Rex Ryan wants. It should be very, very worrying for Buffalo fans that the first thing Rex Ryan does is bring in Richie Incognito. That's giant red flags right there. Everybody who's a Jets fan laughing hard about this one. Really hard.
What do you think the chances are that he's going to bring Mark Sanchez into Buffalo?
I don't think Mark Sanchez will do it. I mean, I don't think that Mark Sanchez wants another go-round of a coach who does not know how to run an offense or how to select a coordinator who can. You could not have a Chip Kelly working for Rex Ryan. It would be too new, too unique, flip his brain over and just not work. So he's going to run the same thing. Mark Sanchez knows that. Mark Sanchez did way better under Chip Kelly, so he's going to want to stick to that. Or something like that.
Can I get this out of the way real quick? Rex Ryan sounds like a superhero, like alter ego name, and Richie Incognito sounds like a superhero name. Like those are the two of the coolest names I've heard in football lately. Like Richie Incognito, like that's a comic book name. Is that made up?
No, it's not made up.
God, the
that
world
is real.
amazing because that's his actual name, and he's doing professional sports. That rules. All right, let's move on.
Thanks for that input.
God, that makes my life. God.
I want to talk a little bit about the Rams owner being told that he needs approval from the NFL and a 3/4 vote from the other owners in order to move his football team to LA.
I'm really excited for this one.
And I wanted to take this one on a little bit because obviously I'm the kind of the business guy of the group. And the funny thing I find here is that the antitrust laws that are involved with business prevent them from doing anything to block him being able to go to LA. So,
well, what if it's a co-op?
What if what's a co-op?
The NFL.
It is not.
Well, what if it is?
It's a franchise business.
All right, well, what if there are franchise location rules?
There are not. There never have been.
Oh. I'm out of arguments.
When Al Davis wanted to move the Raiders back from LA to Oakland, they fought it. The other NFL owners fought it. They voted that he couldn't do it, and he sued the living hell out of the NFL and all of the owners, and not only got to move his team, but all of the NFL owners had to pay for the last 3 seasons that he was made to stay in LA.
Yeah!
So that's what... Now, it's just going to be whether or not...
And he rewarded Oakland with Jamarcus Russell, and there was indeed a rejoiceful night.
Yeah, so if it's just all going to come down to if the Rams want to really fight that hard on it, or if the owners want to try and fight that after knowing what happened the last time they tried to do that. But Roger Goodell's the one that keeps telling them that they're going to have to get all this approval in order to move, and he's like, well, I'm just telling you what the rules are, and the Rams are like, well, we're moving whether you like it or not, and we really don't care what any of you have to say. So be prepared for our middle finger.
Good.
Well, it's the Rams, so let them go under the promise that they get rid of Sam Bradford.
I don't know why they want to go back to LA. They were in LA, they went back to St. Louis, and they're now going back to LA. I just don't understand that move. Like, I would understand if they were like, you know what, F it, we're going to London, screw everything, we're out of here. But they're not. They're going back to LA after having already been there once and being incredibly unsuccessful there.
They need a new name. You need to fit the LA environment, and so,
the LA smog.
Well, I was thinking the Death Punchers. Just because there's enough idiots in the state that I'm from to think that that's pretty cool.
There's so many names you could go with that are just completely outrageous and funny.
The LA homeless.
Well, whatever.
Or the LA Botox.
That's actually pretty good. You need to go ahead and send some emails. Anyway, there needs to be a franchise in LA. I don't...
Why, Kyle?
Whatever, who cares?
Why does California need another franchise? Why?
Because California is really big. Because there's more people in LA than in the entirety of Iowa.
Thank you, Kyle. I don't know why that was your go-to. I was not saying the Rams need to go to Iowa.
Well, okay, so fine, move the Raiders and send them somewhere else. Send the Raiders to St. Louis. Why not? Who cares?
I just figure that there's a few other cities that I think they could make a lot of money in that are kind of out of the box thinking that they should go to first.
Go to Vegas.
I think there needs to be a team in Vegas somewhere. I don't understand why no team or the NFL hasn't awarded a commission to Vegas when people have been.
Because think about what happens in Miami. Think about where you can get in even more trouble than Miami. Think about the rest of the things I just implied right there. That is why there's not yet a franchise in Vegas. No owner wants to spend
dude,
you don't want to have your own NFL office within each and every police station just in case your boys end up there.
You're right.
And that would be the gamblers police department rep. That's not a good position to need, but it would be the case.
Oh, fair enough. The CFL. they're pretty mad at the NFL scouts for poaching players. And this is just another reason why the CFL should become an NFL developmental league. Kyle has referenced it plenty of times this year. I've referenced it plenty of times this year. It's at a point now where they're farming so much from the CFL. Why isn't it just a developmental league? Why can't we get a developmental league back? Why?
Well, the CFL, first off, needs to shut the hell up and realize that we are going to pay you in pancakes with which you can put syrup upon. So step one, delicious.
I got this
Step
big shiny
two.
nickel for you.
Every guy who goes and tries in college and it doesn't work, and so they go to the CFL, they want to play in the NFL. They aren't happy to be there. They're happy to be somewhere, but not necessarily there. And so as soon as they have a chance, of course they're gone. Now, if that means they have to rep themselves just like they did in high school to get colleges interested, sending out videos to GMs and all that, of course they will. Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't you want the increased payday? So I don't understand what the problem is, because the players clearly want it. And then the more you take from the CFL, more it seems like a great option for players to say, hey, you don't have to give up on your dream just yet. You didn't even make a practice squad. Go north, young son, and you will be just fine. It's going to introduce a lot of new talent. Rumor is right now that if Michael Sam, the famous open player, does not get picked up for the veteran combine or given an offer to be just, a training camp body, he's going to go to the CFL. And I think that's a great move for him. Let him actually play. So the CFL, there's a give and take here. I agree it should be a D league, but this is not a bad thing to have the NFL taking from your system. It validates your system.
Why are you the voice of reason tonight? That is weird.
I don't know.
Well, this is one of those issues that
Drink more cough syrup.
Good for you. This is one of those issues like that when one of our talking points are that I'm looking at no idea what's going on here, but hearing Kyle lay it out, oh yeah, that's brilliant. We need to send that sound clip of him to whoever's making decisions around here to explain that.
Move over, Obama. I got this.
What I want to hear Kyle talk about is Trent Richardson eating too much ice cream and pancakes.
We don't know for a fact that it was ice cream and pancakes. We can only speculate. Innocent until proven guilty, America. But yeah, there is been obviously a lack of success on his part for the Colts, a laughable lack of success. And he was not present for the AFC Championship game, obviously, not even there. Missed the walkthrough, and then later, now we hear he's suspended. Apparently, some of the problems really started when he started putting on weight right after a hamstring injury in week 7. Now, he gained, I think it was 15 pounds over the course of the season, at least a confirmed 15. He looks big.
Yeah, so who's to say what the actual number is?
That would probably
Right.
I'd say 20. In any case, he put on weight. He doesn't hit the holes right. He's looking for the big holes he had at Alabama. Those days are gone. And it's kind of funny now that
A lot of big holes in Alabama, though.
Hey-oh.
yes,
Have you been to Alabama, Kyle?
I have not been to Alabama. I don't know if I need to though.
You don't want to.
I went to Alabama. I drove through on a road trip from San Diego to Virginia, and I stopped in Alabama for gas and for the only time I've ever seen an all-you-can-eat KFC buffet.
What?
Yeah, Alabama, you're holding it down. No notes for you. All you can eat KFC buffet. Clearly, this is God's country.
Explain the 15 plus.
Well, there you go. So Trent Richardson, all you can eat KFC. Who can blame him? Delicious. And
Do they have ice cream and pancakes at KFC?
if not, then that's a missed opportunity. But Trent Richardson is going to more than likely be cut. He'll probably be a post June 1st release. The Colts are only going to save like $2.5-3 million by letting him go, but it's more the value of the roster spot, because even if you're paying him next to nothing, he's holding up progress in that you can't get somebody else in there. You've got an undrafted rookie last year in Zerlon Tipton, who beats him not only in production but in cool name. So I don't know, Trent. We've
that's
got
funny
guys,
to me. That's funny to me because earlier in the season you scolded his parents for what they did to him.
Well, that's because I didn't know how to pronounce it, and then once he started getting some playing time, and I heard his name being said by the announcers, it's like, oh, okay, I can do that, and then it.
You mean enunciate? You can do that as well.
with proper prompting.
Well, I was more saying I can say that particular phrasing. If there were some clicks in the middle because his parents were hippies, that would be a problem. But no, it was. Yeah. So hey, everybody! Greatest of all time, holder of over 100 NFL records, wide receiver Jerry Rice has admitted he used banned substance stickum on his gloves pretty much the entire time he was in the NFL. Amazing. Now, this stuff was banned in 1981, and he was drafted in 1985, so clearly illegal the entirety of his 20 years of NFL life. And now we don't know how long he was using it. Maybe once the more high-tech gloves were becoming common, he didn't need it. But he was very open about using it while he was a player, and even went so far as to say everyone did it.
We have hit technical difficulties, everybody. Mike is no longer with us. I don't know if he'll ever come back. I don't know. Maybe we finally scared him off and he decided this was a horrible idea.
Well, it was the way we kept looking at him and looking at sticks of butter within arm's reach and then looking at him again, raising our eyebrows.
So
he doesn't know what that means, but it's bad.
Real quick, just to touch back on the Jerry Rice, it seems so crazy that he scolded the Patriots, and then he's also a cheater himself. But everybody's kind of defending it, which this is what I find interesting. Everybody's really defending it, saying, "Oh well, back then the gloves weren't like they are now, so he used stickum to counteract that." And I'm like, well, doesn't that mean that everybody's gloves weren't as good back then? So technically, he was still giving himself an unfair advantage, and everybody's just like brushing it aside because it's Jerry Rice. I mean, it would be like the same thing of finding out that Joe Namath basically cheated his entire way to a Super Bowl to beat the Colts in a Super Bowl. I mean, how would anybody feel about that? Or finding out the fact that John Elway cheated the whole time, or something. So
I think you'd have to get closer to a John Elway than a Joe Namath on this one to have the same level of impact. And it's very bad that Hall of Fame wide receiver who was active from 87 to 2002, Chris Carter, came right out and said he never used stickum. And like you said, though, Ron, everybody's willing to side with Jerry and be like, whatever. They needed it. It's fine. And I'm a little confused by that. Like, I understand it's really hard to just go back and really look over everything Jerry Rice did and take the records away, because over 100 NFL records. So that is a significant amount. Like, what can you and can you not take away from him? And that's why I think people just want this to go away. The NFL does not need it. Very arguable, the greatest player to ever set foot on the field is now tainted all of his accomplishments a little. And the weird thing is, I'm in my head, I'm like, I don't even know if it does or if it doesn't. I suppose it could be that we're kind of numb right now to any and all cheating because there's just so much talk of it right now. It almost doesn't even register.
Yeah, this whole thing is the Deflategate thing spun out of control, and now things are coming out of the woodwork like crazy. It's just going to get worse before it gets better, obviously, in this kind of situation. But really, all we can do is just kind of let it play out, and we'll see eventually how many people that are NFL legends that cheated, to get to where they are. And it could come out that there are a lot more than most people think that did a lot of things to get to where they are now.
And there's a lot that you can never know. Listening to sports radio, a former player said, look, if I thought the only way I could get drafted or get on a roster was to use steroids, I would have done it. But I was a late round pick, and so I didn't because I was too scared. And then eventually get to that point, you're like, oh, I don't need it. But he was saying, I don't have any problem with any of Jerry Rice because I was willing to cheat, so why wouldn't everybody be? It is a very confusing message right there. I don't remember the radio show, nor do I really want to throw anybody under the bus in that way.
Mike! Hello, Mike. Thanks for coming back.
Am I back on? What I miss?
Jerry Rice.
Jerry Rice and the fact that he cheated, and now we're trying to decide how many legends probably cheated to get to where they are.
Every one of them. Will Chamberlain. I'm sure that.
Will Chamberlain. What?
I'm sure the show was doing poorly without me.
Oh yeah, we were really struggling.
What are we gonna do? The guy that doesn't know anything about football is not here to derail us. Perhaps we'll finish the show on time.
I mean, I have a proud history of derailing this thing.
Yeah, he does. Trust me, you have not done anything Kyle hasn't already done exponentially worse.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, are we talking about the Stickum situation?
Yeah.
We were. Now we're talking about J.J. Watt because we love him and we want cuddles.
Damn right we do. Just want to build a house just right there between his pecs and just live there forever.
Pretty sure any goodwill we had built up towards J.J. Watt was, you might have scared him off, but only because it's the truth, damn it.
So, what do you have written here, Mike? You have some stuff here about him.
Like I said, first thing on the show, like he's just one of the few athletes who I just kind of know his name just for pure like literary context to who he is as a guy. Like I've just seen a lot of his like mic'd up videos and he's hilarious, and then get reading about him and he's actually like the most humble, nice individual in the universe. And so when he signed on with his $100 million contract, he literally Googled what do rich people buy, and he didn't like anything that he saw. So he says, F it. And he just is continuing he's just did what I do with my money, is just put in the mayonnaise jar and bury in the backyard, right? And I guess he found a way to splurge some of his money, because he tweeted a picture of just him and a bunch of his bros just at this swanky beach resort, and he said, 1 weekend a year, 10 best friends from high school. Always remember where you came from and who helped you get there. So I guess this is just like his thing. Just goes on a big old mancation and just takes all the bros out for a little beach resort trip.
That's cool though. That's the right way of being an NFL player, right there.
Yeah, that's the coolest business out, man.
That, and I'm pretty sure he takes it to all those Russians who think that it's time to invade America again. Wolverines.
Okay. All right. Well,
he's still the nicest guy ever.
So what else he got here? I see something about fantastic Terrell Owens.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, is that what TO stands for?
Really?
This is not really.
Proud moments.
I guess so. Yeah, just something else. I guess he's had a history of not knowing how to do his taxes. That just has evaded him like since forever. Just doesn't know how to do his taxes. And I guess this recent time around, he owes the IRS over $100K. But his commentary says like, "Oh, I'm handling it." Like, yeah, I'm sure you're handling it, dude. Like, how have you not handled it at this point? And allegedly, the whole reason he tried to get on Celebrity Apprentice was to learn how to better manage his money. But of course, he got fired and still
shocker,
not doing any work and handling his own damn money.
Oh, you fired an egotistical, self-indulgent douchebag who is apparently uneducated at this point now too. So shocker there that he got fired.
I understand the desire to spend and whatever, but how do you make the money that guy's made and not have even a little? Like, you should have a little. It shouldn't be a problem that
yeah, at least
like you shouldn't have to say, "Oh, I'm handling my $100,000 debt to the IRS." You know, if you owe that much in a year, you should have enough to cover that. Like, no, you're not handling it. It is handled. You pressed send on the little clicky window on your computer, and now the IRS has money and you do not.
What I find so interesting about this is that there's so many players that end up broke. I think I saw a stat today that said 4 out of 5 professional NFL players that make more than $10 million in the NFL are broke by the time they reach their final release from contract. Like, when the final time they are released from a contract, they still have no money.
You know why? Because they don't have that mayonnaise jar.
They don't have a mayonnaise jar.
Yeah, man.
Or maybe they lost it.
Well, that's what happens when you smoke a bunch of weed and you drive around and weaving in and out of lanes with guns and $190,000 in cash. You're going to lose that money real quick.
You should have had the weed in a mayonnaise jar. Drug dealers won't find it.
That does not make sense.
Better than just put it in a bag and letting the cops smell it.
real quick, let's get into a little bit of the retirement talks. I know I say I don't like to speculate, and then I completely contradict myself, and then become a hypocrite by saying that there are people speculating on who's going to retire or not, and I just wanted to bring it up. And I kind of wanted to see what you guys' thoughts were on Wes Welker possibly retiring. Kyle, you think that'll happen?
I think he's starting to seriously consider it. He knows how dinged up he is. He knows what it's like to hurt all day, every day. So I would not be surprised if he just called it a day. But at the same time, I think his decision will probably be based on Peyton's.
Yeah, Marshawn Lynch, he's kind of Brett Favreing the Seahawks right now. And they have to kind of start planning for the future. And they're saying that if he doesn't have an answer by February, then he won't be playing for the Seahawks. Do you believe that that's true at all?
That he'll retire or that he won't be on the Seahawks?
Either one. Both, actually.
I believe that neither.
I just hope he sticks around and just keeps doing whatever just doing whatever the F he wants thing that he does. Like, I don't want him to retire just out of pure entertainment value off the field that he provides me personally. Like, I want him around forever. Like, do you think there's anyone else in the league that just does whatever the hell they want to the degree that he does?
No, there is no one that I know of that does what he does and gets away with what he gets away with. I gotta
respect a guy who just does whatever he wants and accepts consequences, you know?
Brett Favre's Green Bay jersey is going to be retired, though, Kyle. 2015, they are going to do it. And that was a prediction I made, by the way.
Well, I thought that it had been common knowledge. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't.
No, just sounded like you just totally dumped all over what he just said. Like, well, I made the prediction. Well, that your prediction was common knowledge, actually. You can't predict the sky is blue, Ron.
Well, I can when it comes to Kyle, because Kyle did at one point predict the winner of a game that had already happened.
Was I right?
Uh-oh.
That's besides the point, Kyle. Was I right here?
You bringing up old stuff?
Well, okay, if you were right here, then I need to know if I was right there.
This is like when my wife brings up the fact that I didn't do the laundry 8 weeks ago.
Well, did you do the laundry 8 weeks ago?
No, I didn't do the laundry, and I still don't.
Well, then you were wrong then, and you're wrong now, and I am right, and you should be really, really upset about that.
Peyton's not retiring, though, Kyle, because he's currently practicing right now.
Is he?
He's practicing.
Is he?
Practicing right now. In training, doing stuff. Yes, he is.
Right now.
I don't know why you had to ask that so many times. It is ridiculous.
When's he going to be done, man? I'm tired of hearing about him.
18th season. That's what he's going into. 18th season. He's going to keep doing it as long as they keep paying him all those dollar bills. That's what when they're like we just can't afford to keep you on to be this awful. Then that's when he'll go.
He's got plenty of time left in him
for the money. Yeah, not for the game.
That's what's looking like the big problem is he is having trouble with health, and that's affecting his game. Should he retire? 50-50. We'll see how he does this next year. Coming back healthy, what a difference that will or will not make. And, it's his decision. He's got more than enough money because he's invested it well. So he doesn't need the game, but he doesn't want to doubt. Brett Favre said he learned from going back and playing in Minnesota that it was not to be, but he'd rather have that knowledge than the doubt and the what if. So right. Peyton's going to be back.
Lastly, I want to talk about Ed Sable. He passed away, age 98. He was kind of the father of the NFL films, and his son was a big-time contributor. His son also passed away in 2012 due to brain cancer, and the NFL films earned 112 Emmy Awards under his tutelage or creation or however you want to call it.
Yeah, something like he himself individually. I didn't stick it in there because I couldn't find the right source, but his individual earnings for the Emmys was somewhere in the 40s or 50s. It was crazy. Like that 112 is for the show entirely, but included in that was 40 something for Ed Sable himself. That's nuts.
Yeah, that's good stuff. And obviously our thoughts and prayers go out to his family. I know they don't listen, they don't care about us, but we still want to at least give credit where it's due. So
yeah, he made a lot of super awesome, crazy films. Really helped kind of mystify the old greats too. It's not just about accurately reporting what happened, but to put an exciting slant on it as he did early and often, is really impressive. And, it's too easy now to talk about NFL greats as though they were otherworldly, and that's largely his doing.
I want to plug this real quick. I actually I spent some time talking to one of the old timers in my life about Ed Sable, and he was just describing the days of when back before ESPN and all this, you had the game, you had the news, and then you had NFL Films. That's what you had for sports. NFL Films was really what was there to give you what you wanted out of football before all this information was just readily available at the touch of a button. It was nuts. The guy was completely taken aback. He's like, that's, he kind of made an NFL exactly what it is today, into this giant powerhouse of a thing with such depth behind each team and player. Me being the not football guy, I've seen a good handful of NFL films, just hanging out, and just respect the hell out of him. And my heart goes out to every one of his remaining family members and everything he's done. What a legacy to leave behind.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Especially the fact that, he survived his own son, who was, a very big, creative mind in that NFL Films division. And I don't know who I wasn't able to find today who's supposed to kind of take that mantle over, because obviously, one of the big things that always happens come, March timeframe, and Kyle, this, is the whole NFL Films on the previous year's, Super Bowl winner and their season and stuff like that. And I find it very concerning of who's going to take that over, because it just doesn't seem like it'd be the same without those two guys being involved. And if you've watched the NFL Films present stuff over the last couple of years since Steve passed away, then you would know that it just doesn't seem the same.
I think a real thing is a lot of people are going to be standing around saying well, who's the right man for this job? Imagine you're the guy, the proper candidate, and you have to take on that responsibility of picking up where Ed Sable and Steve had left off. I think they're just trying to, it's going to be a hell of a process trying to figure out who your next guy is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Well, I can only hope that they've got someone in mind, someone who's worked with them enough to be as close as you can to that level of quality and intensity.
Right.
But, you can only expect so much, and just kind of have to trust that they know what they're doing. And that's asking the NFL to know what they're doing. So we really hope NFL Films is its own separate thing.
That's actually going to wrap us up, guys, since we decided to end on the sad note here. Thanks to Nick Wright, obviously, for being our producer and having to listen to us and go through all this audio and sort everything out for us. We really appreciate what you do, Nick. Soundright.com. That's sound-right.com. WRIGHT. Also, Cindy. Thank you, Cindy. Everybody thanks Cindy.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thanks, Cindy. Wait, don't tell me what to do.
Hope that you're doing well. Hope your family's doing well. We appreciate everything you do for us as well, keeping us on the air. I know that is a very difficult job. It has to be, especially now. Also, thank you to our military members, all of our veterans out there. We appreciate what you do. Come home safe.
Hell yeah.
Thank you to our listeners. Everything you guys do to support us, despite the fact that you guys don't go on there and you don't click the links. That's okay.
Yeah, do we have any email?
We do not have any emails right now. I actually have not checked really to see what kind of emails we have. I normally give it till Wednesday. I pull all the emails on Wednesday, and we will address some of those on Saturday, actually. The FBIApodcast.com website is up and running. You can go there. You can see our Facebook feed, Twitter feed, the feed for the podcast. You can see all of our sponsor links. Go on there. Use the Amazon search box. What's that?
What's up?
Nothing.
Go on there, use the Amazon search box, click the links at the bottom of the page to go to our sponsored links and sign up for stuff so that we can, give back to you. We want to give you guys appreciation for being our listeners, and we can't do that if you don't contribute. So that's all I got. You guys got anything?
Hey, thanks for having me on again, guys.
Absolutely. And once again, that's Mike. He is a new addition. If you don't remember from the last show, he is going to be kind of our regular. We're calling him the news anchor extraordinaire / intern. So that's what he is. And Kyle, you have anything?
No, you guys might need to get used to Mike, because there's a decent chance that he is going to be filling in for me quite a bit this summer. As the warm season hits Alaska, there's going to be plenty of work for me to do. So hoping to be out of town a whole lot and expanding the network.
Awesome. That's it, guys. Have a good night.